What are the best lead magnets to put in your Kindle books to grow your email list fast, and why does it matter? Well, with a big enough email list, you can sell hundreds of copies of a new book and hit the Amazon bestseller list instantly with no ad spend at all. Uh, what I'm going to cover in this video is what's best for fiction and non-fiction, and we'll also look at the percentage of readers you can expect to sign up. Is 10 or 20% good? What about 50%? What about 80%? Is that possible? I'll talk about that and give you some examples as we go through. So John Ty here, author of Crush It with Kindle. And first of all, I want to give you some sort of overall pointers that apply to fiction and non-fiction. First one is that the better you know your audience, the better lead magnet you'll be able to provide. Oh, and I should go backwards. Sorry. If you're not familiar with the term lead magnet is just a bonus, some bonus content that you give away to your readers in exchange for their email address. So we've all done this. You sign up for something, give your email, you get an email back with something. So we'll talk about what that something is. So first of all, obviously, the better you know your audience, the better a job you can do with this. Second thing is, don't be afraid to test. Different things will convert dramatically differently. Changing what you give away might double your conversion from 10% to 20%, for example. That's a big deal. And don't be afraid, as well as testing different things, don't be afraid of sort of bundling things together. So there can be more than one, like a little package of bonuses. That might be more attractive as well. So just some sort of overall tips there. I'm going to talk quickly about some things that you can give away if you're a fiction writer, and then some things that you can give away if you're a non-fiction writer, and then I'll talk about some of the percentages you can expect. So fiction, very important that whatever you give away is relevant to that particular book. So something like a novella or a short story or a prequel would be great if it relates to that story, maybe develops a particular character, maybe a spin-off short story, for example, something like that. Other things which don't require you to actually write another story could be, maps if they're relevant, maybe family trees, maybe some backstory, back history, secret documents, if they're relevant, copies of, you can create your own copies of secret documents, if that's relevant to your story. Maybe a director's cut of either notes, like again, it could be an article that you write, or it could be an audio or a video of yourself talking about how you came up with the characters, how you developed the book. Maybe some illustrations, maybe some deleted scenes or a chapter that you didn't include or something like that. So it's really just limited by your imagination. So try different things. If you have a reader group, or maybe you set up a group on Facebook, you can get feedback as well from people directly to see what they're interested in. But put different things on and track your Kindle book sales. This goes for non-fiction authors as well. Track your Kindle book sales against the percentage of people that are joining your email list, and get a rough idea of what percentage of people are signing up, and see what happens with different things. And any of the above, I say, that they're all good ideas, and just test to see what your audience likes. If you're a non-fiction author, practical things, anything, certainly if it's a how-to type book, anything that gets people developing a habit is a really, really good thing to include in your book. So and the reason for that, by the way, is if you're teaching somebody how to do something and you can get them to develop a habit, they will get results from it, and that will lead to a lot of word of mouth. So it becomes very powerful. It's not just very useful for your reader. It actually is a really good marketing tool, because it gets your reader to recommend with a lot of enthusiasm, because they're getting results. And things that really help would be things like a cheat sheet, because you're probably conveying a lot of information. That person might be getting that information for the first time. So having a little cheat sheet is a really good way of helping them to sort of stay on top of everything. So a cheat sheet, a sort of a step-by-step guide, maybe again, a bonus chapter. I mentioned that with fiction as well. So maybe interviews, if they're relevant to your book. Maybe you did some background research, or maybe there's some bonus interviews for stuff that is kind of beyond the scope of the book, but is still very relevant. Again, video or audio content, maybe a mini course, or maybe, again, you could do the director's cut. A resource guide. So maybe you talk about things in your book, maybe some recommended products or websites or whatever it might be with links where people can click. Maybe they just download a simple PDF. It might only be a single page, but they can click through and access those things without having to sort of laboriously go and look it all up through Google. So lots of things there. I'll give you some examples of percentages. So I mean, if you're getting 10 to 20% of people that buy your book signing up and getting onto your email list, that's actually not bad. That's actually pretty solid, but you can get a lot higher than that. And I have, for a long time, the highest I'd ever heard anybody get was 50%, which frankly is huge. It's astronomical. And then I heard another story. Well, it was actually somebody speaking, and you may have heard of him, a guy called Hal Alrod, who said he was getting 80% sign up. So I will talk about both of those. So the person that was getting the 50% sign up rate, what they were doing was they were giving away the audiobook version of the book to anybody that got the Kindle book and then signed up and obviously gave their email. Great thing about an audiobook is it's got a really high perceived value. They're typically priced, Amazon prices them based on sort of the amount of the length, the amount of content, but often they're sort of $20, $25, $30, that sort of price point. So people know that they're getting something that actually has a real world monetary value, and they're getting it for free. So that gives it that high perceived value, a high real value. And so that's how he was able to get a 50% sign up for his book. Now, what Hal Alrod did was he gave away, there were I think 3 or 4 different things. So actually he had a bundle of stuff that he was giving away, but the primary thing, and the thing that was driving the signups more than anything else, was what I was talking about a moment ago, which is a sort of like a step-by-step action plan. So I think, if I remember, his the book was The Miracle Morning, and I think there are 5 things that you are supposed to do each morning to get your day off to a really good start and kind of set you up for the whole of the rest of the day. And it was simply a little checklist of the things that people had to do. That he said he was giving that away, and he was getting an 80% sign up rate, which is basically, apart from that, it's unheard of. I've never come across anything that high before. So, and of course, something like that is, you've already created the material for the book. Very, very quick, very easy for you to sort of turn a few pointers or a few steps or into a checklist, into an action plan that people can follow. So these things don't have to take tons and tons of time. I've given away whole books, but actually one of the things that took very little time, I did the whole thing in 4 hours from start to finish. I've told this story elsewhere, but I created a resource guide, and it was 25 top resources for entrepreneurs. And really, it was just 25 things, 25 websites or software tools that I'd used, that I'd found useful, but it had taken me a lot of time and effort over several years to sort of discover these things and use them. It was very formulaic. Each page had one thing. I put a couple of paragraphs describing what it was, an image of the product or the website or the logo, and then a little hyperlink underneath so that people could click through from the PDF and go straight to the site. And that was it. And that's generated, I can't remember what the number is now, but it's several thousand people coming onto my email list just by giving away something that took me 4 hours to produce. And actually, that, if you're doing a step-by-step, like a 5 or a 10-step checklist for people, you can do it in a lot less than 4 hours. And if you want to make it fancy, you can always go to somewhere like Fiverr. So Fiverr is an outsourcing site, if you're not familiar with it, Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, and pay typically around $20 to get somebody to create a really nice looking PDF, or maybe a like an infographic style thing. So you can make it fancy if you want to, but you don't have to. And so hopefully there's some useful ideas for you there. If you can generate that list, as I say, if you're getting 10 to 20%, that's solid, but try other things, experiment, see if you can increase that number, and then engage. The more you can engage with the people on your list, the more likely they are to buy your next book when you launch it. And with enough people on your list, you can also, another thing you can do as well as selling books is ask for reviews as well. So if people are fans of your work, they've read your books, ask for reviews on Amazon. Great way of setting up a reader group if you want to get feedback for an upcoming piece of work. And so lots of possibilities there if you have an email list. So I'll close it off there. If you like this sort of content, let me put the banner up, bear with me. Yeah, if you like this sort of stuff, you go to johnbookbundle.com. There's a really inexpensive bundle. It's 3 books, 3 bonuses. Grab those, check them out, and lots and lots of tips in there as well. So this is John Tye, author of Crush It with Kindle, and I will look forward to talking with you on the next video. Cheers. Bye-bye.